Hey y'all, Grown Black Folks Talk on YouTube and also now TikTok. I have been observing some things. I've been away from both my channels for a while, two good reasons. One, COVID. It still taking me a while to recover. My whole family got sick. My parents are 100% recovered, but because I was nursing, that took more strength out of me both being sick and making sure that they were good. So with both of them being good, it's just taking me a little longer to lag, and the COVID brain fog and just being that tired is real. I have a lot of commentary about a lot of stuff that's happened since I was last here, but I always want to give you my level-headed best. And today, I saw something that made me so mad that I could have retarded my recovery if I had allowed myself to do that. But I want to talk to y'all about how certain black men weaponize compliments in order to have black women fighting each other, and how we just gonna need to stop with that foolery. First of all, I need to lay down some definitions because myself and my fellow Noir auntie have been talking about the matriarchate think theorem on Noir aunties, and one of those standards is we do not allow people to just speak on us. We speak for ourselves. But one of the very and let me also explain this motivation from this person's side, of the black man's side, because he knows, he even said in the video, I know I don't have a right to speak on women, but, and then you need to sit down and shut up so you know you're wrong when you come in. But you know why nobody got there and called him out on that with me? Because he couched his attack because he had a very specific goal. I'm going to go back to confidence with love for just a second. The difference between a matriarchy and a patriarchy, and of course we're talking about temporal of this earth, because the Lord Jesus Christ took care of the women. Therefore, a divinely ordained system can be masculine and be run correctly. However, men have been in rebellion against this since the fall, seeking to deify themselves. If you are a Christian, or even if you know the story of Adam and Eve, you know that Satan's offer was, you can be like God if you eat this. Eve was deceived, but Adam went for it. And this is why the Bible spends its time not blaming Eve for being deceived because she was tricked and God accepted her explanation. He spent time talking about, and Adam all died because he made the decision. Oh, and Adam, you won't be the father of the Messiah either. I'll do that through a woman alone because you chose to sin against me. The rest of the Bible spends time on that. Men are trying to get to God's spot. So I simplify what Auntie Love has explained a little bit by saying patriarchy desires to deify and enthrone mortal men. Matriarchy, because you look at this in the world, who takes care of the women and the children? I discovered a wonderful Instagram channel called Clementine and the Kiddos. This is a single mom with two kids of her own who developed a very successful spice line and had enough coming from that not only is she feeding her kids well, but then she looked at the kids around her kids and said, we can do a little bit better. We can feed. And then it just blew up as people were willing to support her, taking care of the people around her. She prepares magnificent meals and is a credit to her entire community. Clementine and the Kiddos on Instagram. Matriarchy looks at who are the most vulnerable, who are the least protected. And if we can get them centered and take care of their needs, by definition, by the time we're able to get a situation going on that their needs taken care of, everybody's going to be taken care of, including the men. But those two things are diametrically opposite, since men only interested in their enthronement and deification are only interested in debasing weaker men, women, and all children, in order that they may set up their little Satan's helper's throne over the backs of everybody else. So this man gave a compliment. Started out with, I know I shouldn't speak on women, and I know I don't have the right, but where are the women that dress like grandma used to? How is everybody supposed to dress like grandma? Do people know what year it is? And he just big up all the women back in the day who in that day at least men knew they have an obligation. They may have had 5 families up and down the road. If they had it like that, they knew at least they had some kind of obligation. They could be coming home and beating on grandma, but they had to keep up appearances. Back in that day, people at least tried to keep up appearances a little bit so grandma had something to work with. But it wasn't just him that angered me. It was all these women in the comments who made it their business to be looking down on other black women in worse conditions than they are. Mental health problems are real. Depression is real. I was talking with a mother who lost her son by violence. And she had said at the event that she had for her son that a lot of these mothers, seeing that no matter what the circumstances were for their black sons who died, the law enforcement just treated them like they were gangbangers the city was trying to get rid of anyway. So there was no work on things to move these things toward justice at all. She said some of the mothers can't come out of the house, and some of the mothers had to turn to self-medication to be able to just deal with being completely rejected. That's heavy. We don't know what black women are dealing with in terms of mental health sometimes. Even Clementine and the kiddos worries me a little bit. That's a tremendous amount of pressure she's under. She's called and gifted for it, but that's a lot. That's a lot. And when she can't do it, are people going to just turn on her because they're no longer on the teat? That worries me for her. But I also use the GoFundMe and we'll buy some spice from her in due time. Some things are sold out. But we'll in due time make sure that I just do what I can to support. But these interesting people, some of them up to the age of 81, had to make it their business to come on this man's page and talk about how they were better than all the other black women who didn't know how to dress. They talked about fellow black women like they were still on the slave market, even describing their naked bodies. And I'm like, y'all glorified and blessed this man who knew he was wrong by going along with the foolery. So I came and made a comment. Now I'm sure I'll be blocked off the page, but that's okay. I made my time count. Sir, you knew you were wrong when you said it. And now you have all these black women in these comments turning against each other and putting each other down to move your algorithm because you have a book to try to put out, Complication Ships. You have a book to try to put out. And you're just trying to blow your algorithm on turning black women against each other. But, some of us actually peep game. So just know that this is what we know what you're doing. My comment was one of hundreds, right? And I scrolled down quite a long way before making this video. Ladies, let me explain this to you again. Patriarchy, defined as mortal men wanting to enthrone and deify themselves, borrowing from Auntie Love's more detailed description of what patriarchy does, is a trap. What in patriarchy do you want? It will have you sitting up here looking down on your sisters, your daughters, your nieces, and your granddaughters instead of instructing them in a way that is more dignified for them to go. Instead of looking at why does this mental health challenge exist for you? What resources do you need so that we can take care of one another? That man wants to have his book sold, and I'm only putting the name out there so y'all know what not to buy. I'm not putting his name in it, but that's the name of the book. Do not buy that book. Complication Ships, because I told you what kind of man he is. He has no right to be speaking on the issues talked about, but this goes back to one of Auntie Love's standards, matriarchy think theorem standards. We do not allow other people to just speak on us and not challenge that and shut it down to the best that we can. But it's very hard to shut it down where hundreds of your sisters are big upping it because that makes them feel better than the next person. So we do have to make up our minds to be able to utilize the skills that even Auntie Love and I and others are giving us. It's like self-love single mom. Tiana Footman talks about. We keep going back into spaces that have us all whipped up and angry without solutions. And so no one feels like they need to provide us any solutions because we're just happy to get our emotional release. And then we go back to going in the same circle. Well, we keep going in the same circle with men as long as we show that they can just give us compliment and we're going to put down other women. I didn't go into the comments and find out what the physical characteristics of these women were and start putting them down based on that. I'm not in competition with them. But the point is, we have to check ourselves and be accountable for our behavior toward men that are exploiting us. Period. If we do not check it, it will not be checked. If we do not have standards about how we're going to treat each other and how we're not going to allow people to manipulate us, no one else is going to do it for us. Electing Kamala Harris is not going to help us unless we can do that. Because we will be sitting out here tearing each other down all through her administration and have gotten nowhere if we're not careful. Do not let a compliment from a man who tells you from the front that he is wrong get you excited enough to be tearing down another black woman. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Y'all have a good night now. Bye.